Okay, my fellow Americans, today's day is June 18th, 2024. My name is Leslie Williams, and I'm going to try and keep this video short because I'm not feeling real well. Today I've been targeted all day long. I was targeted last night as I was sleeping, and when I woke up in those effects, and then those effects were intentionally kept on going all day. So I'm not feeling too good. I might make a second video, but it won't be today, related to the subject matter disclosed in this video. That video will be number 2, a direct continuation of this one. So please watch for this account concerning when it's uploaded. Now, keep in mind that the statements that I'm going to make in this video, the information I'm going to disclose, can absolutely be more information could be said about each description, each revelation. But since I don't feel well today, just stay tuned to the account for video 2, and when I make video 2, I might decide to go ahead and make another video as well. So just stay tuned to this account, and keep in mind that when you hear what you're about ready to hear, you might be inclined to initially say to yourself, there's no way something like this could be going on. So whether I disclose, whether I verbally disclose some information so you can find some additional resources and links that will reinforce what I disclose in this 2 or 3 part video series. Let me backtrack on that. What I'll do is I'll probably in this video give you some information so you can find some additional material so you can research what I state, and in order to grab your attention, keep it, and so stay tuned for the second video. And what I'm going to do right now is just go ahead and start talking to you about a subject matter, again, that the vast majority of Americans is not even aware exists, and that is the crime that is known as gang stalking. And gang stalking is not stalking by your street gangs that you might first think of. What gang stalking is, and this is going to be an extremely brief explanation of it, it's a program, and it's called gang stalking. Now, the targets of the program of gang stalking are called targeted individuals. Targeted individuals. There's tens of thousands of posts about what's happening to targeted individuals all over the internet, on every online platform. There's hundreds of lawsuits about it, and it's been repeatedly covered on different national radio shows on different dates. Books are written about it. Scientists, professors, lawyers, doctors are all over the internet exposing it. So trust me, folks, this is a crime that's absolutely going on. And so I'm going to now go ahead and segue into, and remember, everything I state in this video could be massively expanded upon, but it won't be in this particular video because of the aforementioned reasons. So please stay tuned to this account, trust me. Now, what I'm going to first do is give you some information concerning some reference material that you can write down and then research it by following the instructions on concerning how to get to it. And then that will, when you review that research material, it will reinforce what I will disclose in this video. So you can go to Google and or YouTube to find the following YouTube playlist, which is, the YouTube channel is Dr. Catherine Horton, Stop 007. Catherine is spelled with a K. And so when you go to Google or YouTube search box, type in Dr. Catherine Horton, Stop 007 YouTube channel. Once you bring her channel up, you want to go into the playlist feature and look for the playlist that is titled Techno Crime Fighters Forum. Techno Crime Fighters Forum. And immediately go to episode 70, 71, 58, 30, 31, 52, 54, and then pick and choose after that. Now, 70 and 71 openly discusses and displays information from people who have given West Point symposiums and conferences and much more. You're going to, Dr. James Diagano, you're going to openly hear Dr. Catherine Horton, Romola D, and others openly disclose descriptions like neural weaponry, neurodisruptors. And if you watch enough of those videos, and again, also research my other descriptions that I make in this video, like remote neural monitoring and memory blanking, memory mapping, memory blanking. So when you look at how a human being evaluates their experiences, we sit back and we say, okay, I've experienced a very bad experience, and I've experienced it in this location. So it's better for me to get up in the morning and to leave this location so that I don't have to experience it again. Okay? Now that is normal, healthy, obvious thinking. It comes from critically thinking the situation, all attributes dedicated to the situation, and it's dedicated to your conclusion about the situation. And so you make the choice to want to get up the next day and to immediately leave the area. Now, if you have, and now remember, these descriptions you will hear about in the TikTok Crime Fighters Forum playlist, plus you can also extensively research them at Google and YouTube related to what's happening to targeted individuals. Now, thought interruption can occur through many different means. Auditory and visual entrainment, where they create interference signals in order to lock up the brain, and that can easily be reintroduced through opposing sound stimuli, contrasting visual processes that remote neuromonitoring can upload to the brain. And as far as the sound stimuli, that can be connected to any acoustic technologies that these criminals heavily rely on, and sounds that are propped up through the community-based harassment connected to gang stalking crimes. So thought interruption can take place through auditory and visual brain entrainment by creating neurological interference signals. Okay, and it can also be created by and through gang stalking victims having nanotech, and I know how this is going to sound, just trust me folks, it's happening. Nanotech, which can get into the brain and body through several different delivery systems, including inhaling it, injecting it, inhaling it, absorbing it, whatever. Now, nanotech can be pre-programmed to go into the neurological functions of the brain, and since it's pre-programmed, it knows exactly where to go within the brain in order to interrupt neuronal activity dedicated to thought processes, which would be your syntax processing. Okay? And so when you have thought interruption being induced upon the neurological systems, when you can have that done through one or more means, while remote neuromonitoring can effect memory blanking, when we do our thinking, okay, a lot of our thinking is based upon our memory references. Like, for instance, you wake up and you say, I know what I experienced here yesterday and the day before, so I got to get the hell out of here when I wake up tomorrow. Now, I'm going to inject another type of technology that you should be aware of, and that is called voice to skull. Now, voice to skull can also have an added feature to it, which is called voice morphing, which is where they'll take the sound of the victim's voice, put it in a software program, construct a sequence, we'll just call it a sequenced sentence, and the sentence will be composed of which would appear to anybody to be like a regular thought sequence, like I'm going to get up and go to the store, I'm going to get up and go to the bank, I'm going to just stay here today because I feel like shit, so I'll just stay here and get up and walk around a lot so I don't just get hit at one fixed position. Now, you should also know that if you're a victim of remote neuromonitoring, and possibly some other tech as well, but it is reported remote neuromonitoring can also do this. Hold on. You can also be. It's also reported that this technology can perpetrate what is known as thought looping, which means that the perpetrators can take a thought you had on a prior date, and text-to-speech translation is already a done deal concerning brain-to-computer interface, whether you have a brain implant or not connected to gang stalking torture crimes. Just do the research, folks. Listen to this information with a mature adult mental posture, with an investigative posture, and then you're going to unlock truth. If you say to yourself, there's no way, none of this can be going on, this sounds crazy, I'm out of here, then you're never going to know the truth. It's literally that simple, okay? So I'm not going to say any more to try and convince you about this. Listen, go back and listen to those last two statements I just made and make your choice, okay? So, now, all right, so with voice to skull with voice morphing, they can literally put any type of auditorial sequence into your auditory cortex using your own voice print, and you'll just think it's your own thoughts. So you can research remote neural monitoring, voice to skull, and artificial thoughts. Okay? So if you wake up in the morning and your brain is compromised from being radiated while you were sleeping, okay, whether any type of brain implant or ear implant assisted in that type of sadistic crime perpetration, hold on, then, and it can be done through many different ways: directed energy weapons, electromagnetic fields, radio telemetry, radiation dumps to implants. It can be done through many ways, okay? And this is all over the internet, folks, and thousands and thousands and thousands of posts, and there's even books written about it, okay? So you wake up and your brain is in a massively reduced state, neurologically, physically, biologically, mentally, okay? And so the perpetrators know what state you're in because they have used this weapon on so many different people for way over a decade. They already know what it takes to create each and every effect that each victim has come down with. So in other words, before they even touch that technology to have that technology interface with the victim, they already know what they're going to be able to achieve once they perpetrate the technology against the victim, which means that when the victim wakes up with a radiation headache, when their brain feels like it's swollen and their tongue is swollen, and the victim don't even feel like they can think straight, they got a massive radiation headache, the perpetrators already know exactly how that victim is going to feel when they wake up. You should also know this can be assisted by and through high levels of ultrasonic sound and or infrasound, where the victim is also in a concussive state, while at the same time that their brain is in a radiated state. So to make no mistake about it, these demonic bastards who are hosting this crime know exactly what health effect concerning how bad it is, the measure of how bad the victim has been affected, and what physical symptoms the victim will feel. So they already know that victim is going to wake up in a very, very, very reduced state. Okay? So now, while the victim is in this reduced state where their executive functions, which is dedicated to critical thinking, problem solving, you wake up, you say, oh, I feel like total shit. And then what is reported they'll do is they'll start then the neural influencing. Oh, I feel, through voices called voice morphing. Oh, I feel like shit. I'm just going to try and stay here today and get some projects done. Okay, and try and survive it, move around a lot, and so on. Now, here's another thing that needs to be absolutely understood about these demonic bastards, is that, say if you had a victim think to themselves on Saturday or Sunday that, oh, well, I'm going to get out some microcards and I'm going to look up some old photos of evidence, and so I can correlate them, save them to my phone, and then transfer them from the phone to a new microcard, so the victim can then take the microcard to a store to print them out, color printouts of in real time, indisputable, massive evidence of being attacked and catching the attacks of electromagnetic weapons on prior dates. So what the victim is trying to do is they're trying to correlate their evidences together for lawyer preparation. Now, as a direct result of speech-to-text translation, which is a feature of remote neural monitoring, subvocal speech monitoring, whether it's assisted through any type of brain or throat implant or not, or auditorial implant that might be in the auditorial cortex or around the voice box and the larynx, ear implants in the ears that the victim has said maybe in a tape recorder, what they plan on doing, and there would be reasons for that, trust me. Okay, well, they can discern what the victim's plans are. And so they'll say, okay, well, instead of letting Joe get up and do what Joe wants to do, we'll affect Joe so badly to where Joe is going to be extremely susceptible to the neural influencing, which means they fry the brain out, and then they start the neural influencing once the victim wakes up. And so the victim then ends up accepting the choice to believing that it's their choice to stay at the area that they've been tortured at, because they got to get the work done. And then there's other things involved in this, more than likely involved in this as well, like neuroprosthetic brain implants, possibly prosthetic implants in the arms, and much more to even control the victim's actions. Now, trust me, I know how this sounds, folks. Trust me, I know how it sounds. So stay tuned for video 2 and 3. Trust me. Okay? Now, so what do we then have by listening to what I've just stated already? What do we have? We have somebody who's being intentionally, purposely, neurologically, and biologically reduced and then controlled so that the perpetrators can continue the attacks. Now, you might think to yourself, okay, well, if the victim knows they're going to continue the attack, why didn't they just get up and try and leave and hope that the current effects would wane off as a result of leaving the environment? Well, there's many reasons for that. Because for one, the victim is not allowed to even think that because of the neurodisruptors and the memory blanking. Okay? The neurodisruptors and the memory blanking take care of that. Okay? Then if you got biological implants in you that can control your body movements, like reaching for your phone and then doing your work because they're neurally influencing you to do that work because they knew you wanted to do it by monitoring your subvocal speech on days prior. And so that's believable to the victim because the victim cannot see. What you got to understand about subliminal influencing with voice skull and voice morphing is that they're using it in a way to where it's most believable to the brain. Okay? Because they know what the victim's intentions were on a prior date. So why wouldn't the victim believe that that's their thought to stick around on a day when they feel like shit and their brain is saying I can't go nowhere, and then they literally control the movements to pick up the phone and start the work. Wait till you see video 2 and 3, your jaw's going to drop. Okay? I kid you not. Your jaw's going to drop. Now, the victim is in such a bad reduced state, and the neural influencing continues, and then the targeting starts again about an hour and a half later. Okay? While the victim has got a bunch of stuff out doing their work, spending the rest of the day trying to protect themselves while they're trying to do their work, which a lot of that is also controlled as well. So I know how this is sounding to you folks, because if you don't have the educated knowledge, okay, then you're going to say to yourself, there's no way something like this could be going on. Now, to give you just a taste of some information before you see video 2 and 3, where you're going to be seeing photos and scientific articles that will show you how they can control limb movement to get you to pick up your phone to start doing the work. That would be mixed with voice to skull with voice morphing to do it, so you cooperate with the influencing. You know, the voice to skull with voice morphing is, I'm going to do my work, I feel like shit can't go nowhere, and then they control the arm to pick up the phone to start doing the work. Okay? Literally, I kid you not, folks. So wait till you see video 2 and 3, your jaw is gonna drop. Now, so just be patient, okay? Because sometimes it can take 2-3 weeks before I'm able to upload video 2 and 3 of videos that become video series, because these demonic bastards who are doing the crimes that I'm enduring are literally buffering my phone every place I go to upload videos at, except one, which is way on the other side of town. Ain't that nice and convenient? That allows them to perpetrate crimes against me at MTS bus stops, MTS bus routes, grocery stores, okay, walking routes, and it also puts the body under a lot more extreme duress. Isn't it just nice and neat how everything benefits the perpetrators and screws the victim over? They plan everything, folks, down to the most minute detail. So I want to introduce you to something here, and I want you to listen to this very, very well. Satanic filth are pretty much running everything concerning whether you believe this or understand it or not. And most people are catching on. Trust me. Oh, absolutely. Trust me. Okay. Every tweet I see on Twitter, 99% of all tweets I see on Twitter is somebody bashing this bought off and paid for and controlled government. Okay, and all the other cooperating, useful idiots that are destroying, the American way of life in our lives. Every tweet is about it, folks. Okay, so when we sit back and we say to ourselves, when we really take a look in front of us and through the rearview mirror about what's been happening in our society, you have to, if you're educated and intelligent enough, you're going to say there's no way all this stuff can be going on by accident. Now, I'm going to go ahead and jump ahead here and just flat out make a statement, whether you can see it yet or not. Imagine for a second that our government is nothing but organized crime, okay? Now, and it being tentacled into pretty much every facet of society as well. then I think maybe you might start being able to see why everything has gone to shit. Okay, university campuses, okay, our economy, okay, our civil rights, the police being controlled, the police being corrupt, the good cops not having no power, and that includes at the federal level, okay, to turn things around. So, if you got an organized crime system, and the organized crime system sits back and says to themselves, we know we're committing crime, so what we want to do is we want to make sure that nobody gets in our way so we can continue our crimes. So they would develop something that is called predictive policing, pre-crime, predictive crime. Okay. Now this is a well-known subject matter concerning predictive policing, and and I'm not saying that police don't fight crime. That's not what I'm saying at all. But what I am saying is that when it comes to the government and them committing crimes, and you become one of their victims, they're going to watch you. And they can easily affect this technology on you to make sure that you never become a threat to them when you're sticking up for your legal rights concerning past crimes they've perpetrated against you, current ones, and they want to make sure you're never allowed to rise up in any way to go after them legally, or even to go outside and protest. Folks, this is literally how bad they are. Okay? So, if remote neural monitoring can, whether it's assisted through any type of implants or not, can decipher your subvocal speech, which is one form of speech, internal speech to text translation, brain to computer interface. And there's a lot of brain-to-computer interface implants that are all over the internet that you can watch at YouTube and Google that will openly show you that text-to-speech translation is part of neural weaponry and remote neural interface. Absolutely. So go to Google and type in at Google John St. Aklewi, Aklewi versus the NSA. It's a lawsuit. And, you'll find it. It's a lawsuit that's copied and pasted in hundreds of gang stalking victims' blogs. So trust me, you'll find it. And I like kind of sharing that with you because it's a good lawsuit. It really breaks down many of the features and functions of remote neural monitoring. So, folks, if they can whether you got implants in you or not. And by the way, let me backtrack just for a second. Go to Google and type in at Google John Hall Bioethics Commission's transcripts, okay, targeted individuals. Look at those transcripts. Hundreds of gang stalking torture victims testified before President Obama's Bioethics Commission back in 2010 and 11. And you'll openly see many of them talk about being tortured, about their limbs, which is your arms, legs, and so on, being controlled. Oh, absolutely. And there's books written about this. So just stay tuned for, video 2 and 3. Okay. Now, there might end up being 4 videos if I end up having to make a second video if this memory card segues into a second video by itself, because sometimes it would do that when it reaches the 33-minute mark. So I'm going to be playing some audio here pretty soon of me being on the Ground Zero show on around June 5th, 2024. Just called up the show, and the show was about predictive policing, predictive programming. So if you got a system that is committing organized crimes against tens of thousands of Americans, and you're a victim of gang stalking, then there's an extreme likelihood that they're going to be implanting you. There's an extreme likelihood, and it can be done, folks. Make no mistake about it. Doesn't matter if you can see how it can be done yet or not. It's being done, okay? And so, we sit back and we say to ourselves, okay, well, the government has committed horrific crimes against you, and they know they have, right down to the most minute detail. They know how long they've committed crimes against you. They know exactly what crimes they've committed against you, and they know that you are an intelligent, smart person. So if they can degrade your brain and your health, even to the point while even that with direct energy weapons and electromagnetic weapons, and even radio telemetry interface with implants, which is nothing but radiation. Okay, well then they're just basically torturing you to keep you at home so they can keep torturing you until you're dead, literally. And I know that's a pretty fast statement there, but that's the truth. That's pure, thorough, exact, simple truth. Okay, so when we sit back and we first start researching predictive policing, you might think to yourself, okay, well, the police are out there and they're trying to use software programs to predict when a next crime is going to occur. It's also called pre-crime. When the next crime is going to occur in this neighborhood, when another crime is going to occur maybe in this business community, so we can kind of like know what to look out for. That's going to be your initial, probably going to be your initial conclusion about what you see concerning pre-crime, thought policing, and so on. But what if I actually told you that and the police will be out there fighting crime, not necessarily because, look, there's good cops, there's bad cops, but what you got to understand about the police is that the police, good and bad, are controlled by a bad system, a system that's involved in crime, and they don't care at all. Okay? And so the police will follow their orders, just like the Nazi soldiers followed the orders from Hitler and the people who are above them. An infantry soldier will take orders from a sergeant. Sergeant takes orders from a lieutenant. A lieutenant takes orders from a captain. Captain takes orders from whoever. Okay, so that's how the police operate. The police are told what to do. They do it. Okay, and if you're fighting against the government and you got a police officer coming at you who gets paid by the government and who's relying on a retirement from that government, he's not going to stick his neck out to assist you, even if he knows you're a victim, even if he's a good cop. He's not going to stick his neck out. That's just the harsh truth reality of gang stalking crimes. That's it. Okay? So the people, though, that are more than likely using the pre-crime software, which is predictive policing, are pretty high up in the echelon of rank within police departments, and that includes federal. So they know you're a whistleblower. They know how smart you are. They know you're intelligent. They know you're resourceful. They know you're strong-willed. And they know that you're educated about what's happened to you through them. They know it. So they start escalating the crimes against you and start sadistically torturing you because they know that that torture will eventually lead to your death, which they also know the hospitals will, well, it's all over the internet that the hospitals are covering up everything that's happening to gang stalking victims. So I ain't got time to go into that right now, folks, but just trust me. Just research what I state and wait for the other upcoming videos. So if you're a high-profile target, and you can even be a low-profile target, because you got to remember, once you become a target, they don't want to let you go. So they're going to be doing that subvocal speech monitoring to see what your plans are for today, so they can set up the community-based harassment and the staged events and the altercations, dressing them up to make it appear that they're just an altercation that happened for any other reason except for it being staged. Like staged customers in stores, staged bus passengers. Yeah. Okay, staged customers in restaurants, post offices, banks, anywhere you go. The people they use dress like your average people because they have to in order to blend in. They'll act like they're shopping in a grocery store when they ain't shopping, whether they buy anything or not. They're just there to blend in, to play whatever dedicated role that they've been assigned to. Welcome to in part, the gang stalking. So, now, all right, so what you got to understand, though, about once you become a victim of subvocal speech monitoring, which is internal speech to text translation, which means that they can monitor you neurally, remote neural monitoring. They're able to decipher what your internal speech is, decipher it, it gets translated into text, they look at it, evaluate it, and say, oh, well, Joe's got plans on doing work today. But we want to compromise that work while we keep Joe in the environment so we can continue to target Joe. Because good luck trying to do any type of good investigative work on Google, lawyer preparation work, and synthesizing evidence together if your brain is fried. Okay? Good luck with that. And they fucking know it. I mean, these people are demonic animals, and it's all they are. Absolutely. So, absolutely. So, when you look at the demonic nature of these psychotic rats who host this crime, we can obviously determine that they're evil. Extremely evil people, absolutely. So, And there's a lot of reports online, tens of thousands of them actually, who are from very, very educated people who are calling the main people who really control everything connected to this crime as Satanists. Now, folks, I know how that sounds. Trust me, I know how that sounds. You might think to yourself, okay, all right, now we're talking about Satanists. Well, folks, what you got to understand here is that good people don't do evil things, at least not usually intentionally. Okay? Absolutely. And when you start to really see the depth of this crime concerning tens of thousands online saying they're being sadistically tortured every day, set up for rapes, gang rapes, false imprisonment, put into institutions like mental wards against their will when they're completely sane, put in there by completely criminally insane people. Absolutely. Then we can obviously deduce that these people who are hosting this at the very top are extremely evil. And you don't get to be that evil and part of this type of program connected to a system that is satanic already in nature. Now, I ain't got time to go into all that, but I can give you a few hints. Well, for one, you can research the back of a dollar bill. And you can also research the occult meaning behind most of our government statues. Okay, like the Washington Monument and the Statue of Liberty, believe it or not. So, folks, people are waking up. Just trust me on this. They're waking up. So, and we're talking about lawyers, professors, and scientists saying the same exact identical to a T thing. The people that host this crime at the very top are Satanists. Okay, they're death lovers. Death and sex is all they're into. Well, it's not the only thing they're into, but death and sex and money and control to continue these things are the only things that are control, death, sex, money. Okay, and enslavement. That's it. And in order to achieve these in mass, they're involved in hundreds and hundreds of different types of crimes. So we're talking about extremely evil people here, folks. And I'm talking about very evil people, worse than Hitler could ever be. Oh, absolutely. And I know that's a large statement, but just trust me, folks. Once you get into the amount of level of educated knowledge that I'm at, you'll agree with it. Oh, absolutely. So, sitting back and saying to themselves, well, we know what we're doing. There's not one crime in this program that's done without conspiracy, premeditation, and without exacting purposeful criminal intent, which means that they know every single thing that they do from A to Z, top to bottom, and every area in between is crime, brutal crimes, sadistic crimes, the worst crimes ever perpetrated against a human family, ever. They know it. So they know that they're running a program that is the worst crime ever perpetrated against a human family, and they also know that the tens of thousands of crimes that they perpetrate every year against tens of thousands of people, they know every single thing they do is a crime. Misdemeanors, felonies, Class A felonies, extreme human rights abuses, murder, torture, rape, gang rape, human trafficking of all kinds, and much more. So there's not one crime perpetrated through this program that they are not already pre-aware that before they commit each crime, they know exactly what crime that they're doing. Okay? So they know that victims are going to fight back. Okay? Not one case investigated all over America, by the way. Not one. So that should tell you something about the police right there. If you're a good cop, this don't take this personally. If you ever see this video, don't take this personally if you're a good cop. But you can research the police's involvement in this crime, as well as firefighters and hospitals and businesses. Oh, absolutely. Okay, so now, if you got a system that's perpetrating the worst crimes ever known to mankind in the entire history of the human race, no exaggeration, well, then they know that they need to keep each victim under surveillance. Now, with the speech-to-text translation and the other capabilities of remote neural monitoring and their other technologies that they got, which enable them to do the most sophisticated form of surveillance ever known to man. Oh, absolutely. On top of all the other resources and everything they got, they already know they can control the victim. They're using the own victim's brain and body to do it. Okay? So, when they sit back and they create something that is known as pre-crime, when you initially look at it, you might think to yourself, well, that's just a law enforcement tool because law enforcement is trying to fight crime. Well, you should also know that a lot of times when law enforcement's out there fighting crime, whether the average foot soldier knows it or not, he's just fighting crime because it goes up against either their crime motivations or it goes up against corporations and companies that they're protecting. Okay, like insurance companies and so on. So we need to wake up, folks. Okay, we just need to wake up. It's that simple. Yeah, they'll go after rapists because they know once they catch that rapist, they can put them in a privately owned detention center in prison, and then the corporation that owns that prison makes tens of thousands of dollars off that one inmate every year. Folks, you need to wake up. Okay? So pre-crime connected to gang stalking crimes is where they're twisting the truth. They're trying to make it look like, yeah, the victim, because they portray us victims as criminals, and and like you would not believe, yeah, research slander and gang stalking. So basically, what I'm trying to say here, concerning this, tying off this statement here, is that it's advertised as being a tool to fight crime, but what it's actually being used for is a tool to keep their crime victims in line so they can continue crimes. Folks, I'm going to introduce you to some information, and if this video file segues into a separate second video, I'm just going to continue to play the audio file where it's at the time that it segues into a second video. So if it does, just look out for a second video, and you'll know that when you hear at the beginning of that video this audio playing, you'll know it's a direct continuation of where video 1 left off at. Welcome to Truth. Absolutely.
We place ourselves in that predicament every day, from the commute to work to the relationships we have in the office, even the relationships we have with our partners, friends, and family. We think, therefore we are. The power of thought has been harnessed by psychologists and propagandists to push people into dangerous groupthink territories that breed mistrust and encourage violence. Now, a lot of the time, I don't think people know when we're being manipulated. Otherwise, people wouldn't be manipulated if they understood what manipulation is and how it's done. And we notice, though, that under manipulation, our behavior follows. Our behavior changes. And influencers from all walks of life are there to pressure you into evolving mentally into a world where your past thoughts have been stretched to the breaking point. By the right choice and true application of thought, man ascends to divine perfection. By the abuse and wrong application of thought, he descends below the level of the beast. Now, between these two extremes are all the grades of character. And of course, you are the maker. You are the master. We build our own monsters. We nurture our own beasts. We've proven time and time and again that, the monsters that we create are images of our darker selves. And many of us are losing the mastering of our thoughts, or depending on others or even machines to make them for us. These habits are being nurtured by those powerful enough to outsource a culture, to debase morality, and disrupt social cohesiveness. It begins with the simplest of places. It begins at home, it begins at school, or even at church. Hate and contempt breed everywhere. And it becomes addictive because, I would say that negative thinking and anger and hate and all these things we hear about, it is an energy. They're very powerful energies too, and it gives people that dopamine squirt. They get high on their own dopamine, being worked up, angry. It's addictive. It's like tossing the first domino that topples everyone down eventually. Starts in one spot, works its way around the planet. And in chaos theory, it's surmised that a butterfly flapping its wings over Central Park in New York affects the weather in London. So the negativity of one person carries on and on and on and on and on and on. And even the submissiveness of one person carries on and on. And the enforcement of that submissiveness, the enforcement of saying, you need to play by the rules. Even though there are no laws, you mandate people to behave like you. And why? Do you think you have control over people? Does something give you this license to do these things? I thought about that during COVID. Who the hell are you to tell me to wear a mask? Who the hell are you to tell me 6 feet apart? Who the hell to tell me how to behave? I'm not a child.
Absolutely.
But with the helicopter parenting that we have now, and the tyranny that is helicopter parenting in this world we live in, we become infantilized, we get treated like children, and so we don't know how to make our own decisions anymore. We let the government do that. And what the government's planning to do is making everything mandatory for you. Your safety is mandatory, your life is mandatory, and it's always done for the image and the further of their agenda, not something that is for you to have freedom, life, liberty, the pursuit of property, the pursuit of happiness, and your children and your posterity. They're going to suffer as well. But you know what? They're being brought up in this hell.
Absolutely.
You lived at a time where this hell didn't exist, or we think it didn't exist. I mean, at least we had choices. Now it seems that everything is being done for you. Everything is being done for, I know this is deliberately extreme. And it may be the extreme end of believability for most people, but the physics of interconnectedness shows that it's not some dreamy delusion. It's not some strange mental conspiracy theory or something. I mean, each of our actions, and that includes what we think, they have repercussions. Repercussions on ourselves, others, the natural environment, and the universe. Yet, in our conversations, we speak of things happening in the outside world as though they're entirely separate and unrelated to us. Oh, this New World Order, Clyde, doesn't apply to me. I know that if I vote for Trump, the New World Order will not happen. If I vote for Biden, the New World Order, well, that's stupid to think that. But I'm just saying. I know one will fight against the New World Order. The other one's already signed in blood his commitment to the New World Order. He's done this with these World Health Organization treaties and the Paris Accords and the IPCC and climate change and all this nonsense. But understand this. Chaos goes around, comes around, and what you see happening far away may happen eventually where you stand. And you will ask yourself why you did not see the signs, heed the warnings, or recognize the fortune. Everything is connected to everything, and everything is responding in kind. Cause and effect. 503-225-0860. That's 503-225-0860. I'm Clyde Lewis. You're listening to Ground Zero, and we'll be back.
Alright, so let me fast forward this.
She's gotta take the shuttle. Looking for your digital play type show out there, you.
Part of the discussion at Bilderberg, not directly about thought crime, just the idea of how can we get people to think differently about the transhuman world they have and what they want. How can we bring about a transhuman world? And the way to do it is groupthink. It includes indoctrinating the young, it includes re-educating the old, maybe even eliminating the old if possible. Because we old people, we remember how things were. And it gets in the way of how they want things to be. And no matter how well-meaning the politicians make these things sound, they're encroachments. They're encroach on rights. And if they wind up in the wrong hands, whatever benevolent plans they've had can be put into malevolent purposes. even though it's well-intentioned government or law or program can be and has been perverted, corrupted, and used to advance illegitimate purposes once profit and power are added to the equation. We're at a time where the mind will be put on trial. We're at a time where we look at our presidential candidates and wonder if they're capable of continuing running the show. Or are they just figureheads that are taking orders from other people? That's the question we have right now with the president that is occupying the Oval Office at the moment. I've heard more people talk about the 25th Amendment lately and whether or not Kamala Harris would ask that we should remove the president because he's not able to. I mean, the headlines today, I was reading the headlines today of the Wall Street Journal saying that it seems that Biden has really, really shown that he's losing his mind. I don't know how true that is, but again, it's about mental capability. It's about how you can mentally stand in the transhuman world, or all of the things like the plagues they want to push on us, or the pressures they put on us. All these things, whether it be the war on terror, World War III, that they talk about World War III, drugs, illegal immigration, all these things are crises, and they're programs that they want legitimate responses to. But you know what they are, really? The responses are not necessarily responses. They're basically programs that are being implemented that are weapons of compliance and control. I mean, the same mass surveillance technologies and the data gathering and the AI is necessary to actually, quote, fight the spread of a future pandemic. World Health Organization is now putting amendments into their little treaty that they had voted down. And these amendments, again, deal with mental health and mental health issues, and I worry that this is some indication that they're looking into jailing or putting into indoctrination camps people who decide that they don't want to follow the New World Order or the Fourth Industrial Revolution. That they don't want to own nothing and be happy. They want to work. They want to do crazy things, like they want to be free. 503-225-0860 for Isaac in Connecticut. Hey, Isaac, you're on Ground Zero.
How you doing, Clyde? Yes. So basically, I believe that Joe Biden is pretending to be.
Hey, Leslie, hold tight. Thanks. Oh, so?
Well,
he's in his 80s, for crying out loud.
It's inconsistent. Sometimes he's chewing on his tongue and dribbling his words, and other times he's taking a commanding position and he sounds authoritative.
Drugs.
Well, listen to this. Okay, so
it's called barbiturates. It's called keeping people drugged so they appear to be up and running.
Can I talk?
Yeah, I'm just explaining to you. Don't be rude, dude.
If you're sane, you can pretend to be insane. But if you're insane, you cannot pretend to be sane.
No one's saying that Biden's insane.
I'm just trying to make an analogy here. Okay, so if you're intelligent, you can pretend to be stupid. If you're absolutely stupid, you cannot pretend to be intelligent. So you just watch this guy. You study him. He's inconsistent, and he knows the witness stand is coming for him. And just the fact that they rolled out that defense that he's a well-meaning old man.
Yeah,
they've already done it once.
I know.
So that's my whole case right there. Is he knows he knows he's going on trial.
Look, a well-meaning old man who's curious about some woman's breasts and decides to follow them is not a well-meaning old man. What I mean by that is that the courts are not going to hopefully use that case for everything that he's done in his past, whether it be anything that would be considered treasonous or otherwise bad. I would hope that they don't do that. Say, well, he's an old man. We can excuse this. You can't do that.
Well, you also have the court of public opinion. And, everybody's got a grandparents, they got the grandparents, and everybody has, to some degree, some emotional, feelings because we're all getting older.
Right.
And we would like to be, as we get older and our transmission starts to slip, we would like to, get a pass, So we would like to think that the world is a kind place, but I just believe that he's just an evil old bastard that's pretending to be.
He's a what?
You laugh again.
Shut up.
He's an evil old bastard.
Shut up. Don't do that. Okay. Listen. I don't think he's faking it. Okay. I just don't. I just think that maybe he has spells. Or, sure, you get old, you start getting forgetful, you start getting, whatever. I just think, but does he deserve the 25th Amendment? Does he deserve taken out of office because of this? What do you think?
I think he deserves an orange jumpsuit. I really do. I think
For what crime?
Taking money for selling the Biden name to taking money from China.
Okay.
I can't off the top of my head name all of the list of violations that.
But we can't jail somebody because we don't like them. They're doing that to Trump.
No. There's actually corruption. He's taking money from China through. They have, I forget how many different shell companies they have where they're hiding the money, and it's all going through the family.
Well, I'm sure that if they focused on Biden just like they focus on Trump, they'd be able to find something to nail him, to jail time or something like that. But see, that's the thing. We've never seen this happen in the history of our country, and I don't care what you think of Donald Trump. Aren't you just a little bit embarrassed that it's just happening in our country, in the United States of America? I mean, give me a break.
I'm totally embarrassed. I am a Trump supporter. I got a big Trump flag on my house. These 34 charges were the way that the legal contortionists that came up with this. Sorry, that's the following distance. I'm a driver. You know that, right?
Yeah, I know that.
The truck will tell me to back off on the vehicle. If the vehicle slows down, so I have to back off.
Well, don't get in an accident over my account.
No, I'm good. I'm hands free, and I'm never on a.
You got to wrap up now, Isaac. So wrap up.
Sorry.
Wrap up.
No, I'm done. I'm pretty done now.
You're pretty done. All right, man. Well, all right. We'll talk again.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that I talked over you.
Okay.
Don't be rude again to me. I'll be mad at you.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay. I love you, man. We'll talk to you later.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye. Will you let me talk? Okay, I'll back off. I'm sorry. I'm just so fired up. I just can't. That's my problem. Just being fired up, wanting to just jump all over everything and everybody. All right, I promise I'll calm down.
Okay, folks, now what I gotta do is I gotta get up and grab my solar panels. Just bear with me a second, okay? I gotta get up and grab my solar panels. They're about 10 feet away. It'll take me less than 1 minute once I get up. And then when I come back, that's when he's gonna accept my call. So, now, one thing that needs to be understood about about this is that earlier in the show, another separate targeted individual called up, and Clyde Lewis did mention the Havana syndrome. And he did talk about, he briefly did discuss targeted individuals. Now, what you need to understand about the program of gang stalking is that the program of gang stalking, now one case is investigated, there's tens of thousands of victims all over the internet begging for help every single fucking day. Sorry about the language. Every single day. Okay? And the program of gang stalking perpetrates hundreds and hundreds of different types of crimes. Now, one of those crimes, which is one of the most brutal crimes, is using gang stalking victims as non-consensual human experimentation subjects, sold, and then this is where the remote neural interface comes into play at. This is where the implantation comes into play at. This is where the directed energy weapons testing and electromagnetic weapons testing and the ultrasound, the infrasound, and all the other demonic stuff these criminally insane bastards do to us. But what you got to also understand is that one victim, even though they're picked for non-consensual human experimentation, they can also be picked for many other crime motivations, like illegal probate control schemes. They can be tortured to the point to where they can then come down with different types of health maladies, like cancers, leukemias, and whatever else. and then their nice, seem to be cooperating hospitals and doctors will claim you got this health malady for another reason, and then they just bilk your insurance until you're dead. Okay, so, and then you got your illegal probate control schemes where they take custody of you because you can no longer take care of yourself. You're put in a group home, and then the people who own the group home are owned by organized crime that's directly connected to the targeting of you, who then files for federal and state funds in your name, bilks your insurance until you're dead, and will more than likely stage videotaped rapes. Now, I know how that sounds. Just trust me, folks. It's occurring. You can go to YouTube and type in Stockton, San Antonio. It's a news broadcast. And trust me, I know what I'm talking about when it comes to this, the human trafficking aspect of this crime concerning sexual stuff, because they're heavily involved in that. Absolutely. Now, you got to keep in mind something about the demonic bastards who are hosting this crime. They don't give a shit at all. The only thing they care about is you exposing them because it puts them in a bad light.